Well, I want to turn the tables, so to speak, because I know
Yeah.
you have some questions that you wanted to ask of me. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you do it. Have at
Yeah.
it.
So that all, because I think everybody listening could really benefit from, I could talk all day about my side of things, but your viewpoint of this whole journey is going to, I think, just be so much more relatable to everybody.
Yeah.
So, first question is in the very beginning, what was the thing that like the pill that you had the hardest time swallowing? What was the thing that you struggled with the most or battled with the most, especially in the beginning when we were making, because we made so many routine and lifestyle changes in the very beginning.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's hard to pick just one. I think the two biggest ones would be like working for food.
Hmm.
That was not something that we had been doing. And I saw like once we did that, of course, for me and them, it was a challenge to switch that over. But once we did, I saw like it was easier to train because they were more food motivated. Whereas before it was like, oh, I already ate. So actually, I don't really care about those treats because I don't really need them. I'm not hungry.
Yep.
So that was super helpful, but stressful going through that, until we got it. And then, of course, I mean, this it's not a shocker. The whole crate training. Yeah,
Oh, crate training.
yeah. And to this day, Casper still, I mean, like I said, Riker will go in there and he won't cry like he did all the flippin' time, but he's still not best friends with the crate, whereas Casper will just walk right in there. It's like his security dome. He'll happily sleep in there, just sit and people watch in there. So they are two very different dogs in that respect, but that was that was hard because there was a lot going on at that time. I mean, again, I'm not different than anyone else, but for me personally, there was a lot beyond the training that just, they say things come in threes, and there was just like probably not three, like maybe three times that. There were like nine things going on the outside, like professionally wise, like, personally wise, that I was just navigating, and then that stress. And I remember messaging you, and I think I probably cried multiple times, but yeah, I'm sure I did. But there was a night where like Riker was in the crate in another room farther away from us, and um he cried all night. And we're talking, we went to bed at like 9, and I got up at like 5:30 because I get up early for school. So, I mean, that's a decent amount of time. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Mentally, my sanity is down here. I don't know if I
Hmm.
can do this, but we worked through it. We did, like you had told us, you're like, okay, that's not working, like going through the whole night, then do it chunks at a time, like a couple hours at a time, and build up from there. And that, I mean, again, it seems like it seems like I would have been able to think of that myself, but when you're so like overthinking everything, and there's so much going on around you, you don't think of those things. After you
Yeah.
said that, I was like, oh yeah, why don't we try like an hour or two at a time and then build up from there? Duh, like that would make sense. But you don't think of that when, you're in the heat of the moment, and in the thick of it. So I just feel like every time there was something that I was unsure of, or I, was having a really hard time with, I always was able to come back to you and the trainers and be like, just process through this with me. Like, just please help me to help myself.
The amount of my job that is telling people like what feels like to me the very obvious answer is it's like so laughable sometimes. Like, especially too, because I've now trained a lot of trainers, so I've trained my entire staff personally myself. So I've been like 6 or 7 trainers at this point. Um, and they're like, do you really just have to tell them? They're like, my dog bites me when I pick it up. I was like, why don't we stop picking it up? Like that's it. Sometimes they're like, They're like, wow, really? And you're like, just as easy as that sometimes, guys. Like, and my trainers are like, you really have to spell it out sometimes like that. I'm like, yeah, you really do sometimes. Sometimes the answer is that simple. Like you don't have to make it more complicated than that. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of, I don't know, sometimes I'm a little bit more of like a Sherpa than anything when I was like, I'm gonna hold your hand, we're gonna go on this journey together and I'll take you through the steps. And they're like, Lindsay, there's this mountain and I don't know how to traverse it. And I was like, why don't we go around it? Or like, why not look, there's this tunnel right through the middle of it. Why don't we just skip this whole thing altogether? Like, we don't need to
Yeah.
make it huge. But where are Casper and Riker in their crate journeys now? I guess you kind of answered it a little bit, but
Yeah. I mean, again, is the crate Riker's favorite place? No.
yeah.
But, that's some of that, like you said, is like out of our control in terms of, we didn't foster that fondness of it when we got him, even though he was an adult dog, but also he had been not using a crate prior to us getting him. And Casper had already been more fond of a crate before we got him. So I think that helps a little bit. And then we just, I think the big thing for us was making sure everybody had a crate. Like now everybody has a crate, whereas before we had two crates because initially, um, many, many years ago when we got our first dog, then we got our second dog, the two of them were crated while we were
Mhm.
at work. And then we got to a point where we felt we could leave them out while we were gone, and that worked fine. But I think having a crate for each one of them showed them that like this can be a safe place. Everybody has their own home, right? And you can make it however you want. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
we are still on that journey of like
Yeah.
increasing crate time and all that, but there's less resistance on my part and less
Mhm.
resistance on their part too, which is, you know,
Yeah.
I couldn't have
The
imagined.
crate, the crate, I think was the hardest. I already kind of knew the answer to the question when I asked, but
Yeah.
I remember the crate being such, because it's when you're such like an empathetic pet owner, when they scream and cry, like
Mhm.
you feel awful.
Mhm.
Um,
That was me.
but you can't comfort them. You can't soothe away the anxiety.
Right.
You can't solve the problem for them. You can't help them work through that. This is like whenever you, and this is true for humans too, whenever you have mental health battles, the only person that can battle that is you. You can get some outside support,
Yep.
but you're the one living in your own head. Your
Yep.
dog is the one living in their own head and their own body and their own feelings. And the most supportive thing that I can do is set them up with scenarios that are safe and productive ways to work through that and learn coping skills, because that's really, what a dog needs is they need to learn to do it for themselves, and they need to learn to process the anxiety, learn how to let go of it. Um, and when they're adult dogs, they will. They have the energy to scream all night long. And then we found out that we would scream all night long, and then you would just let him rest all day, and then
Yeah.
he'd scream all
And
night
it's like,
long and rest
God
all day. And I
bless.
was like,
Yeah.
Kelly,
Yeah, this is not working. Yeah. Yep.
Kelly, we can't let him have a break during the day because he'll sleep all
Yeah.
night,
It'll
charge
be,
his batteries,
yep.
and then be up all night long. I was like, yep, I remember that week. I remember that week. I was like, Kelly, it's got to be all day, all night. You're like, Lindsay, I can't. I'm like, you can. And
Mhm.
it's not, a lot of this stuff isn't also, again, it's not forever,
Yeah.
but we have to have a breakthrough.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's one of the skills that I really try to work on with my trainers is something that we call fact finding.
Hmm.
When you bring me a problem, maybe you realize this, maybe not. I don't provide you with solutions right away. The first thing I do is I ask you a lot of questions,
Yep.
because when I start asking questions, I start getting a bigger picture. You're like, Lindsay, he's screaming all night long. And I'm like, man, 8 hours? How is he like, where
What do
does
you
the
want to
dog
do?
have the stamina to scream all 8 hours? So I was like, okay, well, let's go find out. It's like, hey, Kelly, what are we doing like during the day then? And you're like, oh, well, then I leave him out all the time and he sleeps on the couch with me at my feet. And I was like, there it is. Because there's usually a missing link or a
Yep.
missing piece, or something. And so my job as your trainer is to go figure out where the weak spot is, patch up the hole, and then all of a sudden the crate all night thing will have like sorted itself out.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, that's what and we didn't do it forever, but I think there was like a week maybe or two that we were like, he crates all day, he crates all night, period, until he figures out how to relax. And I can't give him couch access. I can't let him in my lap. I can't let him at my feet because he's using you because he was sleeping in bed with you all the time and he
Yep.
didn't know how to go unconscious and rest without you.
Yep. And be his own independent
Yep.
being. Yeah.
If he didn't have access to you, he didn't know how to be calm.
Yep. Yeah. And that became apparent very quickly. And again, that's why it's so cool to see him out and about and just like the way he carries himself is so
Yeah.
much more confident, you know? It's I'd like to say wild, but like that's the first thing that comes to my mind, but it's so cool to see that transformation.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't, you couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel when we were in the
Oh,
middle of
yeah.
at 4 a.m. listening to him whine.
No, no.
No.
I
Yeah.
could see myself bashing my head against the wall.
I mean, if you've got a really tough dog, if you didn't think about quitting at least once or twice in the
Yeah.
middle of a training program, then you didn't really go on a journey.
Yep.
Same thing with like puppies. When you get a puppy, if you have a puppy at home and you're struggling right now, if you haven't considered returning it to what whence it came at least once or twice, there's like you're like just this pee on the carpet is going to be the one the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Uh,
Yeah. And the other thing too to keep in mind is like the grand perspective, right? So if Riker is, oh gosh, how, eight,
mhm.
nine?
Yep, 8.
Yeah, right, eight. If he is 8 years old and he has had 8 years of an old habit and an old routine, it's so ingrained that of course it's realistic to expect it to take the better part of 9 to 12 months to
Yeah.
like rework 8 years of stuff that has been previously allowed or not discouraged or stopped.
Yeah.
Like
And
that's the other thing
resistance.
too, is that Riker, for you, you're like, well, he's not exactly where I want him to be, but I know how to get there. Like
Yeah.
I've got the roadmap now.
Yep.
I didn't make it to my destination, but I'm en route.
Yeah.
And time, eventually time is just your best friend.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I I think going into this, I was feeling as though like within the yeah, was that 4 months? 3 months. Within the 3 months, like he and Casper were gonna be this totally changed dog. But going through it, I realized like that is I think a lot of people think that, right? Especially if you've never been through training before. But what you realize once you're in the thick of it, it's like just like a human. You can't expect a human to, you know, go from changing their eating habits or different lifestyle factors in 3 months per se, especially if, to your point, like you said, things have been so ingrained and they might have, like a tight hold on certain things and be very resistant. Like it's just like humans, right? So you have
Mhm.
to take off like those rose-colored glasses, which I love to put on many, many times, and realize
Yeah.
that like dogs are just like humans and you're going to make steps forward and you're also going to, move backwards a couple times too, like regress. But every time you keep consistent and you keep going, you're building those habits, you're building that confidence for them and for you. And that I think has been probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest takeaway for me was that like this is ongoing, like lifelong. We're always going to be doing the work to support them in feeling confident, but also to make sure that we feel confident that we're doing the right things to support them.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. What was your biggest surprise throughout the training program? The thing that really like took you off balance and you're like, whoa, that's crazy.
Um, the nail clipping.
Oh, that was a wild one. I
That
remember that one.
was wild. That was wild. And because we walk him quite a bit, and he's asleep right now, but because we walk him quite a bit, they're still, they still have not grown like hardly at all, his
Yeah.
nails. So I'm waiting for the day because I know once I start hearing like that clicking on the floor,
Yep.
it's time to do it. And they haven't clicked yet, but I'm like, we know how to do it. We've got the video. I remember how to do it, but I remember coming home that day and telling Jeremy, I'm like, well, you better count your lucky stars that you weren't there that day because let me tell you, I took one for the team in this whole experience because I said that was traumatic for me and for him. We did it, but man, he put up one heck of a fight.
Yeah. Yep. The first nail trim, I didn't know when I started building my program what everybody would need or want. So in the very beginning, when I first started, the facilities, or especially when I started training trainers, like I would just everyone's like, "Oh, Lindsay, did you write out this big elaborate training plan and map out every minute of every lesson?" I'm like, "Oh God, no," because I'm just gonna throw that out. Like even if I wrote out every session I was gonna do with Ryker for the next 12 weeks, we'd get somewhere in the middle of it. I'd have to crumple up that whole sheet of paper and start all over again because you can make all the best plans in the world for training, and then you really got to be flexible about it. So when I would do in-home lessons before my facility, I would just walk in your house and I would sit down and say, "Hey, what's going on? Where are we at? What are we struggling with? What's our struggle? What do we need?" So then when I started actually trying to like write out how I was a trainer so that other trainers could replicate it and my employees could be tiny little Lindsays, I had to actually like start writing out what I did. And I didn't know that I was going to make a whole nail trimming lesson, but so many dogs, we see it as soon as you come in for an eval. I notice right away, and I politely ask you, I was like, "Hey, friends, I noticed we've got some long nails. What's up with that? Are we like, do you have a plan? Have you just not?" I don't want to judge anybody because I don't want you to come into the space and me and be like, "Why is your dog overweight and have bad nails? What's wrong?" So I try to come at it from an empathetic standpoint. But some people like have been kicked out of multiple groomers, or they have to literally put their dog under to cut their nails. And a lot of times what people don't realize is when their nails get really overgrown, is that you can have a dog that feels very stubborn or very like fighting with you all the time because there's so much discomfort. Like
Yeah.
every time you try to make them do healing drills, their feet hurt because their nails are so overgrown
Yep.
that they're damaging the bones. You can like literally rearrange the bones in their feet
Yeah.
because you've got such overgrown nails. So if you're listening and your dog's nails click on hardwood floor or tiles, it's time to get a nail trim. And please go find a groomer, a vet, or a trainer that can help you. If you don't know how to trim your nails of your dog and you want to learn, plenty of YouTube videos, plenty of things out there. It starts with just one day you start picking up your dog's feet. If you need to muzzle your dog for safety. Don't get bit. That was, I think, the biggest thing that Riker had to learn when I was doing it, because I did his nail trim lesson, was that like I had to start picking up his feet and put a muzzle on him and just let him like throw the biggest hissy fit a dog has ever thrown. And then when the hissy fit is all over, I was like, "I'm still gonna touch this foot though, buddy. So you can keep being mad about it, but it starts with just handle and touch your dog's feet,
Yep.
touch them with metal clippers and spoons and
Yep.
things. If you're grinding them, then get a little electric toothbrush and run that motor on their feet, get them used to that kind of stuff. But especially if you have a puppy, that exposure early to touch their feet a lot and
That's
often and
huge.
daily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
If you aren't currently prepping for the day that his toes start clicking, I would start touching Riker's feet.
oh, we do it. But the body work,
Good. Yes,
yeah, we're doing the body work.
absolutely.
You
Love it.
betcha.
Yep. The first nail trim's rough, and everyone after that gets a little bit better every time.
Yeah.
The people that trim their dog's nails like once every 6 months or something like that, one, that breaks my heart. But two, like it makes my feet hurt just like looking at a dog's nails that are overgrown.
Yeah.
Uh, but if you start a little bit at a time, like doing it every single month, that's how often I do mine. They get their heart guard and they get a nail trim every month. But when you do that on a regular basis every single month, it doesn't become this big horrible thing that happens like
Right.
once or twice a year. We're like, no, we do this every single month. This is just a part of the routine. Your dog doesn't have to love it, and it's understandable that they don't like it, but they have to tolerate it.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's like when we get shots, all right? I don't really want polio. I got my polio vaccines. I got, like I got meningitis vaccines. I don't really want to have that. Do I like shots? No, but do I understand the like greater good of
Yeah.
a little discomfort? Yeah.
Well, I think too, just the shock value, I think was what I was looking for, the right words to say, like the shock value of that. When you told me like that can deform their bones, you said it could also cause arthritis. I mean, again, I've never been someone who's like, oh, I don't want to cut their nails just because I don't want to do it. It was always that struggle, like you saw with Riker. It's like
Yeah.
that's why I'm hesitant to do it because he's giving so much, adversity to that. And
Yep.
so I think having, like, for me, that shock value was like, okay, I have to commit to this because now I know the consequences long term of what that can do to his body and to his mind because he's frustrated that they hurt. So that for me was like game changer, knowing the facts of all that. Um,
Yeah.
that's huge. That was really huge.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Some
to your
people they
point,
just
they
yeah,
don't
some people
know.
just have no idea. Like
Yeah,
the
didn't.
they're like, oh, they see their dog stressed about a nail trim and they're like, oh, and I see that a lot. They're like, oh, my dog doesn't like nail trims, so I just don't do it, but I don't think about like the consequences that come with not
Yep.
like the negative side of all of that. And
Yeah.
then same thing too with, you see your dog stressed out about a nail trim, you're like, oh, well, I'll just avoid that stress because I don't want to stress my dog out. But if I can find a way to do it in smaller increments, so I'm dealing with like smaller, like loads of stress at a time.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I remember that lesson. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to preface this with Kelly because
Yeah.
she's gonna watch this dog have a mental breakdown and like have a big fit about it. But I watched when your eyes realized what was going on because he did. We started it off, we put him on the grooming table, we had to muzzle him. I picked his foot up and we just waited and he threw his tantrum like a kid in a candy aisle. And I was like, I know, Kelly, I know, breathe. I can feel when my
You can
client's
feel
like
it. Yeah.
anxiety is
Hmm.
kicking up with the dog. Because if I can wait it out and we can come out to the other side of it, which is like, because there's a lull. There's like this big hurricane tornado storm blow up, and then the dog will like crash back
Because
down.
they
And
can't
then
keep
there's
it forever.
they
Yeah.
can't, they can't
Yeah.
sustain that forever. They can't
Yeah.
throw a tantrum forever.
Yeah.
So what I do is I like pick up the foot and I wait, and they like throw their hissy fit about it, and they kick and they donkey kick and they rip it out of my hand, and we just wait and wait and wait. And then there comes the quiet crash. And that's the timing of dog training is everything. If I release the foot on the calm, then the dog realizes, oh, okay, the faster if I pick it up and he's calm, I'll put it right back down.
Yeah.
But if I pick it up and you're going to lose your mind, then we're going to wait. And when you're calm, then I'll put it back down. So
Yep.
that's kind of like that big light bulb moment. When you're working with a dog, that even the smallest baby step, so like a whole nail trim is pick up the foot, clip, put it back down. If just the beginning step of picking it up already stresses your dog out, if I've already taken it to the smallest slice that I can of this whole big pie, then I've got to sit and wait through those tantrum moments.
Right.
And again, he didn't eat in the beginning of his nail trims, but with some effort, like he'll start letting you hold his foot and accepting food.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a wild one for sure. It's actually one of my favorite lessons to teach. Um,
I bet you get
I
all
like
kinds of reactions when you do that.
yeah. Yeah, I like and I also think I've got a bit of a unique personality that like I do love animals with my whole heart, but I'm willing to do that hard work for you, as a softer owner. Like I'll accept taking the dog being mad at me or being, upset that he has to do this and working the dog through it so that when I give it to you, it's a lot like I've taken I don't know, I like to shield you and take a lot of brunt of the anxiety of it all so that you can have, even if it means even you get a slightly less, stressful experience with it.
Yep.
Um, yeah.
You have no idea how much that was appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What was the other question I had? What was your favorite part about the training program?
I think just the depth and breadth of everything that was covered, right? Like, I mean,
Hmm.
everything, every week there was a lesson, but then you guys were always going back over what we had learned, like when he was there, when both of them were there, and then we were doing that at home too. And I think, again, going into training, because I'd never done it before, I was thinking, okay, you do it. And again, this is very naive, but I had never done experiences before. So, going into it thinking like, okay, you do that week's thing, and then they get it, right? Well, hey, thank
I
you.
know. Yeah, every time it's like she knows when I'm talking at the computer. She's like, "This is it. This is
Let
my
me make
moment to
my guest
shine."
appearance. I'm here. But no, I think, the like the constant reinforcement, the checking in was great. Like you guys always checking in and asking when we were there for pickup and even drop off, like how are things going? How can we help? Answering questions. Like I think my favorite part was always being supported. Right? There's nothing worse than going into a situation that is completely unknown to you, and feeling like you have nobody to confide in, and every step of the way you guys were there. And again, I got to keep going back to my breakdowns. It's like you were my built-in therapist, and you said that from the beginning. I will, if you need me to be your therapist, I will be that for you. And I was like, okay, you don't know what you're signing up for, Lindsay, but that's going to be happening. I'm going to be taking you up on that. So I think, yeah, that, and just my favorite part is getting to where we're at. I could have never imagined that these two little tiny tots would actually tolerate each other. And it was cool to
Yeah.
like come. um there was a couple, well, they were together for 4 lessons, but at one point I came in to get them, and we were training Casper, and before he was coming over to do his lesson with me, Ryker was like trying to sit with him. Like
Yeah.
that would never, ever happen. Like Ryker didn't want anything to do with Casper. And now the two of them are cordial with each other. Like Casper still is not like BFF with Ryker, but Ryker definitely is like, I would infatuated is a little too strong of a word, but he's getting it's weird. The two of them will go out, and like Riker will follow him around, whereas that he didn't want anything to do with him before. So like they're becoming cordial friends, which is great.
Good.
We don't need to be buddy buddy. That's not what I was looking for. I mean, if that happens, great. But like just being respectful to one another was what I was hoping would be the result. And they are, they can sit together side by side and not have a problem with each other. But then they also give each other their space and will sit apart from each other too, and not, growl or be jealous of one another. So that's been huge.
That's awesome. Yeah. New again, like we got past neutrality into at least, like accepting and cordial. Some of
Yeah.
it too is the again time, like the more time they're near each other and with each other, the more accepting everyone is going to be about it all. So exposure and time, like the more they become, brothers and they're together a lot, that'll all start to they'll find their, like what kind of relationship they're going to have. And
Absolutely.
especially because you had just gotten Casper too. So when you add a new dog, and 3 dogs is a pack now,
Hmm.
like 2 dogs just have a relationship. 3 dogs, you have like a triangle, tripod, every dog has a relationship with every other dog, and then there's intermixing. So anybody that's got multi-dog households, as soon as you get 3 and up, you're dealing with some pack dynamics, and certain dogs are going to get along better and have different relationships with each other. So learning how to manage and keep everybody safe, but also, part of our job is to decide what behaviors are going to be acceptable and which ones are
Yeah.
not, and
Yep.
then drawing the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
because they can't go unchecked, and the you have to be, I kind of call it being like the judge, jury, and the executioner. You're gonna have to decide, like you have to judge which behaviors are allowed and which aren't. You have to judge who's at fault for what's going on. You then have to like dole out the verdict of what we're going to do about everything,
Yep.
and then execute. If Riker's out here picking fights with Casper, Riker's going to need to go have some creator cheddar time.
Yep.
So that policing of the situation needs to be like a human owner
Yep.
aspect, which is a concept we tend to teach a lot in dog training, is that you've got to be, humans should always be the head authority in the space.
Yeah, and I think for a while too, Riker was trying to flex his authority of like, I'm in charge. Like when I would try to, separate them from picking a fight, that obviously wasn't enough. And now creating him, when if and when that happens, like when they pick a fight with each other, which, like I said, doesn't happen a whole lot anymore. But when they do, it's usually Riker that instigates it. And I put him right in the crate and he's upset, but he's quiet in there and it's, he takes his time in there and then when I feel that he's ready, like when he's calmed down, he's laying down, he's not, he seems relaxed, then I open up the door and let him come out and he is different. It's like he realizes, "Oh, if I do that, I'm going to have to take a breather in here by myself and nobody's going to comfort me, nobody's going to coddle me." And if I stop doing this unwanted behavior, then I won't have to take that time out, right? If I could just be respectful and cordial, then I'll be able to not have free reign, but I won't have to take the time out. So I think that's been huge because prior to going through training, if we were to put him in a crate for a situation like that, there was a lot of reaction coming from him. And now he goes in there and is silent with no barking, whining, crying. So that's been huge.
Yeah, and a lot of that kind of stuff too. You have to make sure if you're going to do like separation like that, you want to make sure that your time in the crate is long enough that they have completely given up
Mhm.
on the fight or whatever, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like if you put them in the crate and he's still festering and stewing on that and you don't have that, like we do our relaxation downs where we
Yep.
show you the signs of what counts as a fully relaxed dog. Um,
Yep.
like knowing how to identify those so that when I put him in there, it is a true timeout where you stay there until you have given up. But some people put it in, they'll give him their dog like a 5 minute timeout, and that dog is still right there. They're still back in that fight moment
Yeah.
or
Like,
that
let me
pestering the
go at
dog.
him.
And then you let them out of the crate and then they go right back into fighting
Yep.
again. I was like,
Yep.
the time was not enough
Right.
for them to like, they have to let go
Hmm.
of whatever animosity they've got about it
Yep.
and like fully give it up and get out of that fight. Because he can be in the fight, you put him in the crate, he's still in the fight until the minute you let him out. If we
Yep.
haven't given enough time
Yeah.
to fully decompress, um, then he'll just go right back at it. So, yep.
That's a great reminder. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then learning how to like ID signs of full relaxation, like nose to tail on the ground, eyes, ears disconnected from the world. They're not tracking every noise. Rolled, relaxed hips, no barking, no whining. Yep.
Yep.
Hmm. Cool. I think that was, the last of my questions. Just we already kind of hit a bit of an update on where both of the boys are at now. Um, what would you say is the biggest change that you've seen in each of them?
Um, I would say, I'd say for both of them, it would be just like confidence, the confidence that I see in the way that they conduct themselves, in the way
Hmm.
that they walk when we're, walking around the neighborhood, in the way that um, they just seem to have more of a sense of purpose, whereas before, because I am soft, I'm becoming a little harder,
There you go.
but I think, they've developed that confidence and that has created more of a sense of purpose for them because they know they can do, these things that we've trained them on and they know that we're continuing to practice them so therefore they know they're important. They know these things are important for them to be able to do. And I just, yesterday was so cool to watch Riker just be super calm, cool, and collected with all the other dogs there. Like in a previous life, back when he was totally wild and crazy, like he would have never been able to interact with all those dogs. But he
Yeah.
did an amazing job yesterday. I mean, he was, so kind and polite. And like I said, he can be like a social butterfly, but it has to be the right conditions. And he really was yesterday. I mean, he was going up to other dogs were coming up to him, and he didn't bar his teeth or growl. He was just completely,
Yeah.
well, hey, they want to say hi. He was just completely comfortable.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's what I wanted out of this. That was my
Yeah.
big thing, is I wanted to build that confidence, and I know that we're going to continue to keep building that as we continue to keep practicing and fine tuning and all that good stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. How has the training affected your relationships with your dogs? Did it wreck and ruin your relationships like you thought it
No,
was?
no, yeah, I know. I was nervous. I was really nervous about that, but no, I think if anything, it's built a stronger bond because there is that um clearer line of authority figure. Like I am in charge. Like I am going
Hmm.
to tell you what's happening here. I am doing what's in your best interest, and they, have come and are continuing to learn to respect and understand that. So yeah, I think that's been huge.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't wreck anything. If anything, it makes it
No,
stronger.
no. Yeah, I know. But I'm also one of those people who's a worry ward and like all the what if situations, right? So if anybody's out there that feels the same way, like please rest assured that like this does not ruin or wreck your relationship. It can only build that connection stronger and make it more, cohesive for everybody
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
How did the training impact your life, like outside of the dog ownership side of things?
I think, it was humbling. It was humbling because
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know, right? And I am
Mhm.
someone who prides himself on learn. Like if I don't know something, I will learn about it. But I think again, it was just a perfect storm of the time in which we came into training that my mind, my brain had no space left to give to doing that type of research and going in on my own and figuring all that out on my own and deciphering like what is the best approach. That was beyond my ability, my
Hmm.
mental capacity and physical capacity at that point. And so um I think it was, it was a reminder that like we all need support. We all need help with X, Y, and Z things. And it is not you're not any less of a person. You're not incapable of learning new things. Like
Yeah.
there's always room for growth, which I knew that intuitively, but had not applied that to pet parenting life. And so, yeah, so it was, like I said, it was very humbling. It was like, this is a reminder that you can grow in all aspects of life, even as a pet parent. Even if you think you know what you're doing, probably you don't. And so, probably you should ask for the help, especially if you're in a situation like we were, where I was like, I don't want to come home one day and find, somebody, one of the dogs lying on the floor, not able to move. Like, and I felt as though if we had not made the choice that we did, that there was potential for that to happen.
Yeah.
Now I'm completely like feeling in the reverse of that because there is much more of a, like I said, respectful, I guess I would say part of a bond or respectful, respectful of each other's boundaries, Riker and Casper. And, you know, again, they're not buddy buddy, but they are definitely cordial with each other, which
Yes.
they were not when
Yeah.
we started this whole journey.
There's a lot of peace of mind that comes with getting good training on board
Yeah.
and, knowing that, yeah, because I had a client that came in recently that had that exact scenario happen, is that she had a dog that's had like attacked multiple dogs, and she came home one day to it having attacked her older, smaller dog. And I was
Mm,
like, that is like my worst nightmare.
yeah.
And I mean, for me personally, just the fact that I know that when my dogs are in crates and I am gone, that I will come home to two happy, healthy, safe, alive dogs
Yep.
and one alive cat. That's, uh, I just couldn't imagine living in that uncertainty of if everybody is going to be safe. And same thing with the boys. Like, you're like, how am I ever going to leave the house and enjoy myself if all I'm doing is worrying
Right.
about like if my pets at home are safe or okay or not?
Yeah. Yep.
um, that ability to have training on board. And if it's a separation anxiety dog or something like that, I know that I can leave and actually enjoy my time and my life
Yep.
when I'm gone and know that everybody's safe is just, that's a lot.
It
That's
is.
a really good bonus.
Yep.
What would you tell if you could go back and tell Kelly from week one, some advice or sage words of wisdom? What would you tell week one, Kelly?
Ooh. I think I would tell week one Kelly, kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier, that like, and I know you had prefaced this too, but like to truly remind myself that this is not going to be a walk in the park. Not that I thought it would be, but like it is going to take some serious discipline and consistency, but that is going to pay off tenfold if you stick with
Hmm.
it. And
Yeah.
so I think, you know, I can hear that from other people, but it for me a lot of times it doesn't click until I experience that, and then I now am able to say from my own experience, like, look, that is the truth. So I
Mhm.
think reminding myself of that because um I mean, as you know, there was a lot of resistance going into
Yeah.
it. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would be helpful to myself, knowing
Yeah.
what I
Yeah. I remind my trainers often that, when you start with a new owner, especially one that isn't necessarily fully on board or is very nervous about all of it, that, it's not you pulling against them. Like, we're all trying to go to the same spot, so it like, don't make it a struggle between the back and forth between the two of you. Find a way to get on a common ground about what we're doing or why we need to do it, and help them come to the conclusion about where we're trying to go together. But it's not like trainer against owner. Like, we're all on the same team.
Yeah. Oh
We're
yeah.
all trying to help the dogs out.
Yep.
Because that's what we're all here for. We're all, all the trainers, well, hopefully all the trainers out there are trying to make better lives for their clients and better lives for their dogs.
Yeah. Well, and
Um, yeah.
I was just gonna say again, you guys were just so incredibly supportive and understanding. You know, I never felt like if I were, you know, if I through the trial runs of like after the lesson practicing, I never felt as if when I would make a mistake or what have you that like I was being judged, right? Like so
Hmm.
that I think also is something that's super important to know, you know, and you don't know that until you get into a training, right? But like that, like finding that out that like, okay, nobody's judging me, like they know this is my first time, you know, learning how to do this thing and they're going to help me. And then, my God, having those videos to refer back to in the portal. I mean, that especially for Jeremy, since I was the one
Yeah.
primarily picking up, it was like, okay, if you're not understanding what I'm telling you or like how like as you're watching me, let's watch this video. And then like
Yep.
So that was super helpful too. There's just so many different components that help you to feel truly supported every step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I found a little advice piece for anybody listening if you are going to do dog training and stuff. I allow any of my clients to record any of their training lesson. So if you are someone that has a partner that can't join you for the training for work reasons, if you are a forgetful person and want to be able to like write notes and rehash it, um, I personally and all my trainers will always say yes to someone that wants to record the teaching piece of every one of their lessons so that they have it to look back on. So don't be afraid to ask. A lot of people learn differently. So some people are visual learners, some people are hands-on, some people really prefer notes. Some people like to be able to recap stuff in videos. So just ask your trainer if they'd be okay if you just turned a little voice memo on or put your phone up on a tripod or something, because if that is what is going to help you learn the material the best, then, ask for those kinds of learning aids that you might need. Now, we have it built out on an online program because so many people needed reminders. Um, so we have like text summaries that go out that have videos and like the bullet points of your lesson. And we've got online videos of every training lesson, so you don't even have to really record it. You can just watch my lovely tutorials. I
You
got over
really
listening to myself real quick because in the beginning I was like, I hate listening to videos of myself. But I eventually have learned to gotta get over that. But
you really know have like when you say all of that, it brings to life all the ins and outs that you've really covered, right? I mean, there's so many things that could be left unsaid or undone in a training environment, and like you've really covered all the bases, which is why I feel like so many people continue to want to come and partake in the training because they
yep,
know they see the reviews, they talk to friends. Like I have shared with so many friends of mine that are either considering getting a dog, have a dog, but they're having similar issues that I am, or something of the like. And so many people have been just curious about what you guys are doing. And so I've, shared the Instagram page, the website. So I think
love it.
again, you don't know what you don't know, but it takes someone like you, Lindsay, to show that like there's transformation possible with each and every dog. Like you said to me in the first, episode that we did together, like no dog is untrainable. Like,
Yep.
there's always something that can be done. There are extreme cases that, you might not be able to do a whole lot, but um, I think it's just very reassuring that every dog, like give every dog a chance because every dog truly can show you what they're capable of and live that meaningful life that we want for them and they want for themselves.
Yeah. I've met very few untrainable dogs. I have met a lot of untrainable humans. Yeah, as long as the human, if I have a human just like yourself that is like a dog owner willing to do the work and put in the practice and follow the homework that we assign out, then we're gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna be just fine. I can do everything right by the dog, and the follow through at home is kind of the big piece. And that's why we do the day train setup that we do, because I think it holds owners a little bit more accountable, which in turn gets a much better, like lasting result.
Yeah. Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. What was your proudest moment during the training program?
Hmm. I think seeing each of the lessons, like seeing it click for Casper and for Riker individually, like it would take repetition after repetition for us to get to where I felt it deemed, a good quality, place or let's go. And to actually see them and now like do it without, that when they do it now, it's like they're almost not thinking about it. They just naturally know how to do it. Like to see that progression and that confidence build, I think that's been one of the coolest things.
Love that. That's awesome. Awesome. What would you say to someone that's on the fence about signing up for training if they're just not sure if it'll work or if it's right for them and they're
Yeah.
kind of
Well, I mean,
wavering back and forth?
of course, if you live in the area, like coming to Lindsay is clearly a no-brainer. But if you're not fortunate enough to be close enough to have access to her, doing your research and finding somebody in a training program that meets your needs that you feel, like I said earlier, I felt intuitively that this is what we needed to do, like this is the avenue we needed to go, and you were the one to help facilitate that. And I think if we all, you know, tune out the white noise and everything around us and really just kind of ground ourselves and think about what is going to be best for my dog and me and us together, like you will find and gravitate towards the right program, the right trainer. Like it is within reach. So don't feel like, you know, all hope is lost, because that's initially how I felt. And then through doing my Google searching and coming across Lindsay, I saw a couple other training programs, and I'm like, okay, these, from what I'm reading, these don't hold a candle to Lindsay and what she's doing. So I'm like, we need to go forth and like see what this is all about. And I think too, like a great training program and facility is going to allow you to do what you did, which is have that breakthrough session to get a feel for what it's going to be like. Because, just like if you're shopping for a therapist or what have you, or a doctor, you got to find the right person and the right program that clicks with you, like I said. So you need to have that chance to be able to decipher what's going to be best. And again, I felt intuitively like we needed to move forward and go through training with you guys. And so that's what we did.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
I think you will just know if you, tune out everything, you'll realize either I'm getting, not a good vibe on this, or this seems like it's exactly what we need. And for us, you guys were exactly what we needed.
Oh, that's so cute. If you don't live in the Columbus area and you're trying to find your own dog trainer, first and foremost, I always and heavily encourage people to meet the trainer in person. It's why we offer free evaluations, free transformation sessions, where you just get to come and meet with me. You get to see the facility. I will literally train your dog right in front of your eyes. I will show you exactly how we're going to train and work. And that first eval, what lesson was that first eval? What we did in the eval, do you remember what that lesson was?
You did no, we did. Yeah, let's go. We were doing let's
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
beginning.
What I show in my eval is the very first lesson that we do as part of the program.
Mhm.
So you literally, and it was almost word for word, too high, too low, just right. You
Mhm.
know, say your command, continue, until they follow it. Like
Mhm.
that's exactly what you learned in your first lesson. So meet your trainer, meet them in person. If they won't meet you in person and they're just trying to like sell you over the phone, I would try to find somewhere else that would let you like go see the facility, go meet the trainer. There's so much that you can tell when you meet face to face with someone. It's why like I do group interviews when I hire new trainers because I can just tell as soon as you can send me all the most beautiful resume and all the best stuff you've ever done, but I need you in a room and I need you talking to me and I need to watch you work a dog because, the apprentices I would have picked, or for you guys, the trainers that you would have picked on paper is one thing, but as soon as you go meet them in person, I don't know, for me, that always tells me exactly what I need to know is all when I see it in person, it'll feel right or it won't, and you'll get the right feel. But meet your trainer ahead of time. Do the evaluation or the consult. Ask them to work or train your dog right in front of you. If they're not willing to show you right in front of you how they train, probably a bit of a red flag. Um, but yeah, I'm very upfront about how I train, what I train. I'll show you everything that we do. There's no curtain, there's no secret
Yeah.
backstage stuff. Everything is very out in the open and I'll record sessions, I'll send you videos, I've like pulled camera feeds for clients of my home video facility is wired up. So like if they're like, Lindsay, what are they doing? Or if they're freaking out about something, I was like, this is literally a camera footage of the entire day that we had them. This is exactly what happened. There's no secrecy. I'm as transparent about everything that I can be because you're giving me so much trust when you give me your dog. And it's a lot of faith that, you know, there are a lot of bad trainers out there. So making sure that you find someone that really will put your dog's interest at the same high standard that you have for them as well is it's huge for sure.
Absolutely. And I was going to say too, the transformation session that we had with you was scheduled to be an hour, but we were there for 3. So I mean, like, talk
Yeah.
about like I mean, if that doesn't show dedication, I don't know what does, right? Like,
Yeah.
you were there to answer any and all questions we had, and I mean that was just huge for us.
Yeah. I knew you needed my help. Like I was like, I can't for and it seems kind of I don't know. It seems I don't know if it sounds super conceited or something, but like I knew you needed my help, and my disservice to you would have been letting you leave and not getting you signed up for my program to help. Is that if I really think that I'm one of the best, trainers in my area and I can really help a dog and help an owner, then I should do everything that I can to show you that we can help because we can. The unethical thing for me to do is to let you go find, a second-rate trainer or a second-rate facility that you're going to go and you're going to pay for the program and it's not going to work.
We'll be right
If I
back.
know I can, and you're back to see me again. It happens. I just had a lady who I did an eval with in 2024, so well over like a year and a half ago. And I was like, the circumstances just weren't right. And I was like, I am always here and I am always ready. And when life feels right for you, you can come find me again. Or if you want to go try something else, that's fine. You can go do your thing. If it ends up not working, um, I will always be here and I am ready to start whenever you're ready to start. And they're back and we're going to get started in a couple weeks. And sometimes it's just a matter of me giving you, I was like, hey, Kelly, listen, if you had taken the boys and not done it and not signed up at the end of that, their aggression and their animosity was going to get worse. The reactions and the fights were going to get bigger. The small little grumping that Jeremy had in bed with Ryker was going to get larger and larger. Their relationship was going to degrade over time,
Yep.
and getting in early when behaviors start getting out of hand and not waiting till they're completely like I'll help you even if they're blown out of proportion, but if we can get in and get started, if it took an extra 2 hours to sit with you and make you feel better about what we've got going on, I was going to give you that because I knew we needed to get here
Yep.
to this podcast.
Yep.
And that alumni beach day,
Yeah. And
it made the extra
much
time
more
worth
to
it.
come.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and now we've got, like now you're part of the family.
Yeah.
You're now a lifelong alumni. You're gonna greet all of our future alumni, with open arms and an open heart and commiserate with them about how hard crate training was in the beginning.
Yep.
And I don't know. I always tell my trainers that I will never be mad if you give the client the extra time that they need. I'll always cover a lesson for you so you can spend that extra 20, 30 minutes working through something with an owner. I will pay you the overtime to spend that extra time. I will never get mad at you about giving clients that extra help that they need. Always,
Yeah.
always, always. I
Yep.
will message. I will respond to every crate breakdown Instagram message. I will. Everyone.
Yep.
All
Yeah.
right, last question. You ready? This is the last one I've got.
Okay.
What did you learn about yourself through this journey?
That I'm capable of change.
Yeah.
That I'm capable of change, that I'm capable of providing for my dogs in a way that is going to be beneficial long term, that is long lasting, that builds their confidence, that shows them that I love them, but that I'm also not going to be walked on.
There you
Um,
go.
Shows them that I am in charge,
Hmm.
and that, they do have opportunities to showcase their independence, but at the end of the day, I'm the one that is, the pack leader. Um,
Hmm.
so I think that was huge for me because I think prior to this, I was one of them. Like I was like I like the
You just want to be their
buddy.
friend.
I was like I was like the parent that wants to be the friend, right?
Yeah.
And this reminded me that like that doesn't do me any service, and that doesn't help them either.
Yep. 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 The disservice is not, giving them the rules and the boundaries they need. That's the real inhumane thing, is letting them continue to like not know how to cope with their anxiety or not know how to have the structure and routine needed to support whatever trauma they have in the past. Um, it's why we literally put it in the name,
That's
you know,
right.
taking the lead. I
Yep.
picked the name very, very like specifically and deliberately because I was like, wanted to have a very leadership feel to it without sounding too cheesy. Um, but I wanted it to have a very empowering feel that
Yeah.
we need to take back the authority in the space. Again, I still stand by my firm but fair.
Yeah.
We always had firm boundaries, but we were never cruel about it or, mean about it. Just because you set boundaries doesn't make you a mean person, or it doesn't mean you're being mean or cruel to your dog.
Right.
Yeah,
And that took me some time
it
to come
did.
to grips with.
It
But
did. We got there.
yeah.
Then I think it's hard to accept that we have to do that kind of stuff without seeing the result of it. Like with dog training, there's a lot of faith you have to put in that you have to start making these changes without there's a lot of faith to it, right? There's going to be no proof right away
Right.
that it was worth it.
Yep.
When he was screaming at 4 in the morning in his crate, you had no idea why you had to have faith in your trainers and the training system that had bought into until the light bulb goes off and you go, oh, there it is.
Yep.
That's why we're doing all of this.
This is
Um,
all temporary. We're getting, you've got, like you had
yeah,
said earlier, you're getting through those resistance pieces to get to the other side where it becomes second nature and a
yeah,
confidence boost for both
yeah,
sides.
absolutely. Yeah, it's really fun. It's a really cool little journey to go on, and yeah, we've been growing like crazy. So
That's
um,
awesome. I
I
love
know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a lot of the I really think the word is getting out. And if I can help, every dog in Columbus, I'm gonna help every dog in the city that I can.
that's
Because
incredible.
everybody could have a better relationship with their dog, and their dog could always, you know, do more or feel better about life with just a little bit of training. And even if you have the best behaved dog in the world, like the world's your oyster now. Now you get to do the fun stuff, right? Now you get to do the agility and the scent work and the trick training, and you can get off leash with your dog and really give them a lot of freedoms in life.
Yep.
So there's always something new a dog can learn.
I love that. I've got a question for you as we start to wrap
Yeah.
up. Are you looking at, like the next, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years, like
Mm.
where would you love to see taking the lead go? Like I wonder, like, is there a world in which you have like some virtual accessibility? I mean, I know you've got all the trainings online, but well, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like, will there ever be like well, it's okay that you aren't here locally in Columbus because I can still provide support online virtually? Like, how do you feel about that? Or where do you see things going? I know you want to expand, but like fill us in.
Yeah. Well, welcome to my vision. Um, the first major milestone for me is because I mean, you could probably relate my whole journey with taking the lead very similar to your dog training journey,
Yeah.
is that, I started off I was a one-woman show. So I would drive 100 miles all over the city doing in-home lessons with clients. Um, but I've got scoliosis, so I have a bad back. And it became pretty apparent that I can do this now and I can probably do this for another decade or so. But there's going to come a time where my body might not let me work dogs the way I want to. So how do I take all of this decades worth of knowledge that I've gathered and like pass it on to the next, generation of dog trainers so that dogs can keep having, better lives like Ryker and Casper. So it's like, all right, I want to have employees and I want to grow and I want to help more people. I was like, so that means a facility. And that was kind of like my first big leap. Was like signing the very big, very expensive lease. And I was like, oh, good. Look at that. Just like $250,000 of debt I just like signed up for in an afternoon on a Tuesday. Um, and I think that, growing into the facility that could now help, your boys go through the journey they did. I knew it was going to be hard, but I had no idea, how hard it was going to be or how much, of like effort and work and my blood, my sweat, and my tears, and my love was going to go into it. And if would rewind me back to where I was and ask me if I would do it again, I'd do it all again in a heartbeat, knowing, the struggles that I'd have to go through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, number one, I want to see us keep growing for sure. We have 2 new trainers starting on Thursday this week. So we're growing like crazy. We're booked out for like a month and a half almost. Like that we have an insane wait time right now. We've never had people have to wait this long.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, so we're growing, we're getting really, really big. My first major milestone, and it should be very feasible probably by the end of the year. But I want the facility to run without me. Like I'm never leaving and I'm never going to be gone by any means,
Mhm.
but there's always this fear like if I get in a car accident tomorrow, like could taking the lead stand on its own feet without me, or am I still too integral part of the company right now that it won't operate without me? So that's a lot. Like right now, I'm spending a lot of time investing in my team and my trainers. I'm, teaching Caitlin how to run the facility. I'm turning her into a tiny little me. She's learning how to hire new trainers. She's learning how to train new trainers. These 2 new trainers are going to get trained by like my entire training staff now. I flew a trainer out from California to certify my entire team.
Yeah, oh
We
yes,
were
I
all,
remember that. Yeah.
I shut the whole thing down for a whole week
Yeah.
and certified everybody. And I paid 20 grand for their whole certification for the whole thing. Like that's what I want to do is I want to keep investing because if I take care of my trainers take care of you
Yep.
and then they'll take care of the dogs. So I really want to grow. I'm trying to we're almost by the end of the year. I want to be open on Mondays because we're not open on Mondays right now. In the beginning, it was because it was how many 14-hour days could Lindsay pull in a row before she dies? And the answer was 4. I can do four
Oh,
14-hour days when I first started because
woo.
I would have to be there 7 a.m. when we open all the way to 7 p.m. when we close. And even then, honestly, it was almost till 9 p.m. doing evals.
Oh, sure.
Um, so we're going to open on Mondays. I
Cool.
want the facility to run without me. I'm trying to teach a couple of my trainers how to do those evaluations because that's the hardest and one of the riskiest parts because they could bring in any kind of a dog to me. And that's when my trainers are at highest risk of bites
Yep.
is an unknown dog. Like, because when my trainers see the dogs at the facility, I've already vetted those dogs. I'm
Mhm.
like, yes, it's a little growly and a little bitey and a little snappy, but I was able to successfully, my rule is I have to be able to leash the dog, walk it around the building and unleash it. So I have to be able to put my equipment on and off and then handle the leash successfully. I mean, it can still try to come for me a little bit, but if I can't put any equipment on a dog, I just won't train it. But that's the highest risk moment is because there have been some dogs, we have turned dogs away that I was like, that is too aggressive. Even I would maybe even consider putting that dog down because it's too scary. So that's what I'm really working on with the company right now is teaching everybody in there how to do a little bit of all the stuff that I do. I'll still run all the, basic CEO things and stuff like that, but I really want to make sure that if something were to happen to me, that it could still go
Yeah.
on and help people and function and not be exclusive. Because if I build a company for years and years and it can't run without me, then I haven't built something right. Um, a second location sounds really fun. That's I've really got my eye on New Albany, so we'll see what happens with that. But whether I go start a new one or I might like hand this facility off to like Caitlin or something and let her run it, and then I'll go start the next one. But once we've got a system down, everything's system. Just owning a company, it's all systems. It's just one big system.
Yeah.
But once we get enough systems, then we can really start replicating stuff and really growing and spreading. So who's to say?
I love
Hopefully
it.
we get really big and we can help a lot of people. My biggest pipe dream, and the reason I chose the company name that I did is because I really love service dog work. Like I love it so much. It's such a passion of mine. I would say I've got a pretty solid foundation in service dog training, but I know for facts that I could be better at it. So there are a lot of different like seminars on service dog training that I want to attend in the future and grow that side of things.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of requests that we get right now for service dogs.
Wow.
Um, that's where I wanted the name to have a very like empowering feel to it for that service dog side of things. So that's, maybe a second location in Columbus and expanding into the service dog. Like bite sports is never something that I know a lot of my trainers find it really exciting and appealing, but it's never something that's drawn me in. Um, so that and boarding one day. Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
All I get requested for
Woo.
is boarding on boarding on boarding on boarding. And I'm like, I hear you all. I can't, my building isn't zoned for dogs overnight. So you might see us expand into something like that. So either a second training facility or boarding capabilities.
Maybe the New Albany
So
location could do that,
we'll
perhaps.
see. We're at a 5-year lease at my building right now with options to extend up
Okay.
to 15 years. So, and the building right now should be sized that my capacity I want to hit is 15 dogs a day. We're at about 9 right now. Um, we've done 10 and 11 before, but I've done the math on like how many trainers I need to like be open on Mondays and run a 15 dog day. I'm gonna have to have like X number of trainers. So we're gonna try to get the training team up to like 10. That's where I'm trying to go. So
Cool.
yeah.
That's incredible. Well,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the evolution transformations continue for
hmm
other dogs. And I will have in the show notes all the information of how to contact you. And again,
Yeah.
I'm an open book, so you can feel free to contact me if you're local, and of course reach out to Lindsay as well because she would be happy to do a transformation
Always.
with you. Yeah. Um, so
Always.
don't be
Yeah.
nervous. Don't
If
be nervous.
you if you want to know, I don't have any like online. I mean, maybe hopefully one day I get some kind of like an online school or tutorial system. And it'd have to be like a whole summer of reshooting a lot of videos. I'd have to like hire, I think, a professional videographer and really like, because that's what I do right now. Like one of the things I'm building right now is I'm trying to automate my onboarding for my apprentices. So I've got 2 new apprentices that are starting, and so far they've had to sit down with me and me teach them everything. So now I have oh gosh, Kelly, if you thought your like 15 video online portal was big, this new one is massive. It's like hundreds of hours of me teaching in
Well,
like 3 months, turning an online thing that I'll turn somebody into an apprentice in like 3 months, or like into a trainer in like 3 months. It's wild.
whoa.
I feel like some of my trainers at some point are going to start asking me for my online apprentice piece. But I think it'd be really cool to have an online
Yeah.
presence at some point. I can tell you if you want a virtual trainer that's amazing like me, Laura King with KCAT, KCAT, King's Creatures Animal Training, I think is the name. She has a whole online community that is super cool and super affordable, which is nice. She's based out of Des Moines, Iowa. love her so much. Her and I used to be zookeepers together. So if
Oh,
online, she's got way cooler online resources than I do at the moment. But also the training program that I use, I learned from an amazing trainer called Robin McFarlane. And the style of training that we do and how we teach, Robin has course, um,
okay.
an online course that is very similar to what we do, and I think it's like $100. So
Okay.
that's a really great
Yeah.
resource. But yeah, those would be two resources for now that I can encourage people to look into. Both Robin and Laura are both balanced dog trainers, so they'll teach very similar to the styles that we learned.
Cool.
A small piece of dog training will always be better in person. There's just no way around it. Everyone's like, well, Lindsay, I was like, AI can never take me. Are you kidding me? There, it could never. There's just a hands-on piece about it that will always be just a little bit superior to anything online that you could ever watch YouTube. Because there's a plethora of YouTube videos online, and that if
Yeah.
anybody's trying to DIY that themselves, oh, good luck. So much knowledge in the world. Some
Yeah.
of it is right and some of it's wrong, and it's really hard to tell the difference unless you're a professional. So find a professional that will weed through all of the information out there and find what's best for you. But those are two options
Yeah.
until I get my own online stuff going. But I will always love doing the in-person stuff more.
Yeah.
Always, always.
Well, like I said, I'm excited to see things continue to evolve and grow.
Yeah.
And just thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing for, the dogs that are there right now, for my two little stinkers. Like you
Hmm.
have no idea how impactful this experience has been for all of
Yeah.
us. So I really appreciate it.
Of course. Always, always. It was an absolute pleasure. I am so excited and proud with how far both of them have come. And you were so trusting and brave, and you stuck it out even when you really didn't want to, and even when it was really, really hard. Um, and you've gotten to like see the benefits of that, and that's always just the best feeling for me. And getting to hear, like we shoot your testimonial video at the end, and getting to read the comments and then have that online Facebook group for our alumni that's private for just them, where we get to finally hear, like success stories and things like that. It makes it all worth it.
Absolutely. And it's ongoing for life. Like I've got you guys for
Yeah.
life. We get to
Yeah. Always.
interact with you guys and come to the alumni events forever,
Yeah.
with these two. So yeah,
Yeah. We're
it's
going to continue to grow, and again, the online piece or the lifetime piece is, certain things just take time too, and so we're always going to be here. You've got trainers and a community to support you for the entire life of the dog, and that's just so awesome. I love it so much.
you are the best. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, honey. Absolutely.
Oh.